Howard Lutnick, along with former U.S. Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin. Both have teamed up in a $150 million investment into a company called Satellogic. It's part of a SPAC deal. And gentlemen, I just want to address the markets at the moment. Howard,
but you
what's
got to take
going on
1
here?
second.
Is this capitulation?
Right, look at it. Look at on your show. Look what happens when you come on your show and you talk about a great company. Look at that stock.
What did I tell you, Howard? What? Every time we have a very smart investor base that buys on the lows. You don't want to buy at the highs, everybody. But is this capitulation when you look at the broader market, or is there more downside to go as you see it, Howard?
Well, and look, in my opinion, I think they've overdone the rate hikes. So I do think there are 2 rate hikes coming, the next 2. But then I think after that, I think there's going to be a pause around the election, and there might be one at the very end of the year. But I am putting my money on 2 quick rate hikes and then a pause. And I know the secretary's got other opinions, so you can go to him. He's with us here, but that's my opinion. So I think it's going to pause, and I think it's going to be less than people expect.
You're free. You're free now, Secretary Mnuchin, because you're former Treasury Secretary. In the past, when I'd interview you, you'd always say, and fairly so, I'm not the Federal Reserve. I don't deal with the Fed. I'm with Treasury. But now as a businessman looking to invest, money has been cheap for so long with such low rates. What are you anticipating here? And it doesn't seem to be stopping you from making big investments right now.
Well, let me first say, as you said, now I'm free to talk about the Fed. And since last summer, I've been saying that I'm concerned about inflation. We have 5 or 6% inflation right now. I think it'll come down some. I think that the 10-year Treasury is going to have to go up to about 3%. And I think this is actually a healthy thing in the context of a long period of time, that's higher than where we are today, but still pretty low rates. And the same thing for the markets. We've had a 2-year incredible bull market. If you ask me where do I think stocks are 5 years from now, they're a lot higher. But I think particularly the correction in tech is actually a good thing for the markets. And there's a lot of great tech companies, but some of them, the valuations have just gotten way ahead of themselves.
Well, yeah. I mean, and Stephen, I think you're right. This is a healthy thing. Rising rates mean that we are out of an emergency situation, which arguably, ex the pandemic, after 2008, just a couple of years later, we should have been much closer to slightly higher rates. Instead, it was like we were still stuck in the ER when the economy seemed to be starting to grow under both President Trump and President Biden.
Yeah, there's no question that the Trump economic plan, was working and we were having significant growth. And had it not been for COVID, we would have continued to have done that. And look, I think during COVID, we spent $4 trillion, and had we not done that, I think we would have had a worldwide depression. But the Biden administration has just kept on spending, which I am concerned about, just the sheer amount of government debt. So I think it's a good thing, at least for now. There appears to be a pause on more fiscal. The economy will be very strong throughout this year, and I think there's still a lot of great opportunities.
Howard, what are those opportunities when you superimpose them over inflation, which, as we've been saying here on this show, was not going to be transitory or temporary? I mean, if prices go up, it's a lot harder to bring them down.
So look, there are core markets that do well with inflation, like real estate. Real estate is going to do very, very well through this cycle. So my company, Newmark, I think it's going to do explosively well through this market. And then you got to pick great companies that are unlocking huge total addressable markets. I mean, that's the key. So Satellogic is an example. Another example is the company we did, and I was on with you last time, called Rumble, which is CFVI. I mean, these are just great companies that are in massive markets and have great technology. When you talk about Netflix, which has already grown to over $200 billion in value, it's really dicey at the edges. But if you're picking the best young companies, as Secretary Mnuchin and I have done with Satellogic, you're going to just be in an extraordinary position to really just It doesn't matter whether there's inflation or what the market's going to do.
Okay.
These companies are just going to win.
Okay, let me end on this note, Howard and Stephen. CF Acquisition Corp, CFV, is up 29% right now. So quite the reversal during your interview.
You got to go on Liz's show. This
so
is a great example of you got to go on Liz's show.
Thank you so much. And thanks to you, Secretary Mnuchin. Great to see you once again. Howard, Stephen, good to see you.